Hello everyone, welcome to the fifth lecture of the lesson The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry. So, in our previous lecture, we had seen Della, who was upset, suddenly wearing her old brown hat and old brown jacket and rushing out of the house into the street. Now let's see where she goes. Where she stopped, the sign read, "Ma'am Sofroni, hair goods of all kinds." One flight up, Della ran and collected herself, panting. "Madam, large, too white, chilly, hardly looked the Sofroni." So, Della, she rushes out into the street and finally she reaches a hairdresser's salon. This shop, it dealt in wigs and false hair or products made from false hair. The owner of the shop was a haughty lady, a huge and tough-looking woman called Madame Sofroni. Whereas the name Sofroni sounded very soft, something that is cozy, it contradicted the iron looks of the woman. Madame Sofroni was a white woman, a huge woman, stout, strong, and quite haughty. Now Della, she had been running along the street and almost rushed up the stairs, up the flight. Up the flight means stairs. The shop was on the first floor. So one flight up, Della ran. And reaching there, she stopped for a while and she was panting, she was gasping for breath. She was breathless. Okay? And she waited before addressing the madam. "Will you buy my hair?" asked Della. And see the response of the lady. "I buy hair," said Madame. "Take your hat off and let's have a sight at the looks of it." Down rippled the brown cascade. $20, said Madame, lifting the mass with a practiced hand. "Give it to me, quick," said Della. So, this is the short interaction. Della did not take long to make her decision. And now we understand the reason behind Della's brilliant sparkle in her eyes. She had decided to trade off her only asset, her possession, that is, her beautiful brown hair. And she asks inquisitively to the madam if she would buy her hair, and Madame Sofroni, very sarcastically, she replied that indeed she bought hair. And without waiting for a next second, she demands Della to show her hair. She expertly, in her practiced hand means an expert hand, a hand who had seen or who had been used to weighing masses of hair, she expertly weighed the mass of Della's tresses and made an offer of $20. Now Della, who was desperately in want of money, she did not hesitate. She immediately accepted the offer. Okay, so the hair is cut and she got $20. She must be very happy now because earlier she had $1.87. With the $20, She had a total of $21.87. A decent amount to buy something good, something perfect. Oh, and the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy wings. Forget the hashed metaphor. She was ransacking the stores for Jim's present. So these 2 hours quickly passed by on rosy wings. Rosy wings is actually a metaphor which stands for the quick passage of time. After receiving the amount of $20, Della did not wait even for a single second, and without delay, she moved out of the shop and started looking at the shops or in the shops for a perfect Christmas gift. For whom? For Jim. This metaphor, rosy wings, also expresses that for Della, these 2 hours of searching for a proper gift were a pleasant time, were a precious moments, and she had no knowledge when the time quickly passed by or tripped by. Now, why does the author calls rosy wings to be a hashed metaphor? He says, forget the hashed metaphor, isn't it? What does he mean by this? See, here he is asking the readers not to be confused or not to be caught up in the jumbled words. Rosy wings. Rosy wings is an excessively used, out of date metaphor. When a metaphor is being used too much, it gets out of date, and as such it is called a hashed metaphor. So he says, forget the excessively used old metaphor. Don't be caught up in the words. What I mean to say is that Della was searching the stores thoroughly for Jim's present. Okay? She found it at last. It surely had been made for Jim and no one else. There was no other like it in any of the stores, just like Jim. Just like Jim, there was no one in Della's life. So also, there was no like that gift in any of the stores. And she had turned all of them inside out. She had thoroughly checked. That was the only gift available. And what was the gift? It was a platinum fob chain. Fob chain, it's a strand of chain which is used to it's actually attached to a pocket watch. Okay, and it was a style that was in great trend in the past. Okay, in the 1900s and the 20s. So now that Della had got the gift, it was a platinum fob chain, simple and chaste. Simple, not very stylish, excessively stylish, and chaste. Chaste means pure in design, properly proclaiming its value by substance alone and not by meretricious ornamentation. That means the value of this product, value of the platinum fob chain, it is duly asserted by its quality. The fact that it is made of a rare metal, platinum, and not by any artifice or artificial looks. Okay, as all good things should do. So any good thing, anything that is valuable, the value of a good thing is judged not by its external appearance but by the quality. And platinum, as we all know, it is a durable metal. It's a shiny and it's very rare. Okay, so that's why it's a precious metal. Some way or the other, her Jim was also precious to her. Okay, can you make the connection between that platinum fob chain and Jim? Yes, I suppose you can. It was even worthy of the watch. The watch. See, the first letters of the word has been capitalized, asserting the significance of the thing in their life. It was valuable to Della as well as to Jim. As soon as she saw it, she knew that it must be Jim's. It was like him. What is the it here? The platinum fob chain. It very much complimented Jim. That is what Della is trying to say. Quietness and value. The description applied to both the platinum fob chain as well as Jim. They can be described by these two words, quietness and value. Jim was a very quiet person, and his value in Della's life is asserted by his presence in her life. Right? So similarly, the platinum fob chain, it was also an elegant thing, a pure and simple thing which was very quiet. It did not say much about itself, but then the value, everybody knows it. So the description, it applied to both. $21 they took from her for it, and she hurried home with the 87 cents. With that chain on his watch, Jim might be properly anxious about the time in any company. Grand as the watch was, he sometimes looked at it on the sly on account of the old leather strap that he used in place of a chain. So what is the author saying here? Jim, though he was the possessor of, or rather the owner of a very precious heirloom, the pocket watch, the gold pocket watch, he was very ashamed to take the watch out in company. Company means in the presence of friends and colleagues. And why? Because the strap that was attached, it was an old worn out leather strap. Now Della feels that once the strap is replaced by the platinum fob chain, Jim would not have to look at the time secretly like he used to do earlier. Now he would be able, or rather he would be too anxious. He would take out the watch with pride and look at the time again and again. Okay, so this gold watch would be very well complemented by the platinum fob chain, and Jim would no longer have to be ashamed of his old leather strap. Right? When Della reached home, her intoxication gave way a little to prudence and reason. She got out her curling irons and lighted the gas and went to work repairing the ravages made by generosity added to love, which is always a tremendous task, dear friends, a mammoth task. Now, after she reaches home, Della, only now she got back to her senses. All this time she was flying in the thoughts of Jim, his happiness, how happy he would be, how excited he would be. But after reaching home, she comes back to the reality and she realizes that her hair has really been damaged, been destroyed. And what she does, instead of getting hysterical, her maturity and wisdom comes to play. She asserts her maturity and wisdom as a responsible wife, a responsible woman. Controlling all her emotions, she starts repairing her damaged hair. She had just a few moments earlier, she has made a tremendous sacrifice. See, cutting a long hair is a very difficult task, especially in those days. You know, we are talking about a society where long hair was considered to be an asset, okay, and short hair a sign of, something that is, people keep short hair only when they are sick, either sick or they want money. They don't have money to keep long hair, they sell their hair to earn money. So you can see here that Della, she has cut her hair not for any money, rather, yes, of course, for the money, but then she has, her intention is to make Jim happy. Okay, so this tremendous sacrifice that she has made, it is only out of her love, out of her selfless love, pure love, her generosity. It is a desire to make her Jim happy in Christmas. And she realizes very soon that such damages are not to be repaired easily. It is a mammoth task, it is a difficult task. So what she does, Della, she starts curling her hair using the curling irons. And it was not so easy, because in those days the electric iron was yet to be, in the market, let out in the market. She had to literally heat the iron in the gas stove and then curl her hair using it manually. Probably her skin burnt also at times, and yet she was ready to do it. She did it all for her husband and her love for her husband. That's why the author feels that such an act of sacrifice is a mammoth task. Within 40 minutes, her head was covered with tiny, close-lying curls, that made her look wonderfully like a truant schoolboy. She looked at her reflection in the mirror, long, carefully, and critically. If Jim doesn't kill me, she said to herself, before he takes a second look at me, he will say, I look like a Coney Island chorus girl. But what could I do? Oh, what could I do with $1.87? So remember, I was telling you it was not an easy task to curl hair during those times. And it took Della around 40 minutes. And after the 40 minutes of hard work, she looked like a truant schoolboy. Truant means naughty schoolboy with curly hair. And she looked at herself in the pier glass, in that mirror, for a long time, very carefully, and examining her looks very critically. She feared that she was not looking that beautiful. Her looks are lost. The beauty of her hair, that is lost. And she knew that Jim won't be very happy with the change. She feels that if suppose Jim looked at her for a second time, or he could bear to look at her for the second time, he would be very critical, and he would comment that she looked like one of those performing artists, performing chorus girls in the amusement park called the Coney Island. Okay, Coney Island, it's a reference to an amusement park in New York, and there the dancers, the performing girls, they usually kept short hair, okay, bobbed hair with curls, okay, and almost all the girls looked similar. And she, after her hair curled, she looked like one of those Coney Island girls, which is very derogatory in one sense, because Coney Island girls, the term, it was not considered to be a respectable term. Okay, if somebody calls you a Coney Island girl, that means he or she is being abusive. Okay, but then Della was expecting that, Jim, he would be angry, he would be critical, and he would abuse her, or, call her a Coney Island girl. But she was totally helpless. She knows that she couldn't do anything. She did not have that much of money, and she was forced to sell her hair. With all these thoughts in her mind, she awaited the arrival of Jim. Very soon it would be time for Jim to return home. So at 7 o'clock, the coffee was made and the frying pan was on the back of the stove, hot and ready to cook the chops. So everything is ready for Christmas Eve. The dinner is ready, the coffee is made. It's moment for Jim to come home. Jim was never late. Della doubled the fob chain in her hand and sat on the corner of the table near the door that he always entered. So you can see how tensed Della was about Jim's reaction, how Jim would react, and she was standing or waiting at the place closest to the door, so that the moment Jim opens, he would have the first sight of Della. Okay? Then she heard his step on the stair away down on the first flight, and she turned white for just a moment. Suddenly she heard footsteps. So Jim has returned home, and he was climbing up the stairs to the first floor where they had their flat. And all this while, Della, she turned pale and white out of fear, considering how Jim would react. Would he be angry? She had a habit of saying little silent prayers about the simplest everyday things, and now she whispered, "Please, God, make him think I'm still pretty." Della has lost confidence in herself. She feels that she is no longer beautiful or pretty. That is why she is praying to God, asking Him to cause some kind of a miracle that would cause Jim to consider her to be still beautiful and pretty. Okay, with these thoughts in mind, just like a small little girl, she was sitting at the edge of the table near the door, waiting for the door to open any moment, and praying deep inside her heart, may Jim consider her to be beautiful. May his love not be lost for her. So we can understand that Della, she always searched for, or rather desired for, admiration in the eyes of Jim. And it would hurt her if Jim did not show that kind of an admiration, or if that admiration he has for her, that is lost. But then we don't know what is going to happen or what will happen. To know what will happen, we have to go to the next class. I suppose you have understood till here. Thank you very much for watching. Keep watching.